Welcome, everybody, to the X Rock Extreme podcast. My name is Tiffany Andrews, and we are brought to you this season by our amazing sponsors Mother's Off Road Recovery Motorsports, JM Rigging Supply, Radial Dynamics, 386 Fab, Wheeling for Warriors, and Kincaid Fabrication. Tonight, I have my amazing co host, Reside,
Hello,
sorry,
everybody.
and our guest, TJ Lenig
Yep.
from Line Mountain Four Wheelers. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get these names perfect. TJ, what we like to do with all of our guests is kind of get a little insight into what they're all about. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Line Mountain?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're a off-road club. We're based out of Dornsife, Pennsylvania. That's where our track is. The club was established in 1970. There were 10 original members that actually signed a charter and recorded it with the state as a nonprofit organization. Uh, and then in 1971, they held their first race, which was they called it the 7 miler. Track was 7 miles long. They cut the course through different property owners. I mean, at that time there was probably about 5 different property owners they went through, and up to date now there's probably 10 or 11. But we run on a lot of the same track that they ran on, in 1971. Now the course has changed over the years. There's been houses have been built. There's been coal mines put in, so we've had to reroute and adjust as the years have gone by. But the heart of it, the majority of it's pretty close to what they ran on in 1971.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's unique because there aren't, we're not an off-road park. The only time we're open is when we have our, right now we're doing 3 races a year at our home track. So, we're not open to wheeling or rec riding or anything like that. It's private property. So there's, it's a little bit of a unique characteristic to our place, to have the cooperation of those landowners, for the past, coming up in September, we're going to be doing the 55th 7 miler. So to be able to have the cooperation of all those people and to be able to keep it together for 55 years is pretty remarkable.
Astronomical. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And, of those 10 charter members, there's, probably half of the families who are family members of those original members are still involved. It's pretty cool. That we're still able to do it, and we won't be able to do it without the landowners first and foremost. So
That's the hardest key to the pack.
right,
Got to
yep.
have a place to put it on.
Yep.
Now, this past weekend, you did like your shorter course. Cord was there on duty, our
Yep.
amazing recovery guy of doing all of it. I know he's been doing recovery for a while now.
Oh yeah, yep. The last couple of years, I don't know how many years exactly now, Corey, but it's probably been 3 for sure.
I've done. It was 2 7 milers ago, so this will be my 3rd 7 miler.
Yep. Now Cord's been a godsend, let me tell you, because up until he showed up, most people did well on their own, recovering their own stuff, doing trail fixes and getting their vehicles out. But it's the major issues that you have, when someone tears a whole knuckle off or they've completely broken rear end housings. And, I got to tip my hat to my dad. He has a local business here just a couple miles from the track. And he brings his backhoe down to move some cement blocks and some safety barriers and stuff like that every race. And he's taken that backhoe out onto that course into some places that it should not have ever been and gotten people out.
Look, it's hard enough in the off-road wrecker sometimes getting stuff around and around the trees and whatnot.
Right.
I can only imagine what it was like to drive that backhoe in that trail. It must have been
Yeah.
so rough.
Oh yeah. Yep. And he's done some good recoveries in a backhoe on that course. So ever since Cord's been around, he's taken a big weight off of my dad's shoulders and trying to get some vehicles out. And Cord loves to do it. He can't wait for someone to break down so he can go pick them up. So
I
If, a-
I don't
if
I
any,
don't want anybody not to finish the race. That's the first thing I always say. But when someone can't get home, I'm there to make sure they get back to their trailer.
yep. Yep.
I don't know if anybody doesn't follow Cord on what is it, Snapchat. You gotta because he was dragging something that was completely torn apart this weekend
Couple
on
things.
to like down the road
Yep.
on an like a public road,
I
dragging
took
it down, dropping it off to a garage.
I took somebody's little buggies, the two-wheel drive Volkswagen style buggies.
Yep.
He drives it to the track and he broke a rear hub off, the rear axle, and he was like, "Man, do you mind if you tow me home?" I was like, "My truck registered insured. I'm not afraid to go down the road." Down 2.5 miles down the road we went, dropped him off at
Yep.
his house.
Yeah, so you brought up this past weekend. So this past weekend we had our 3.5 miler event. So they kicked things off with the 7 miler. That was in 1971, and up until I wrote it down here just so I got my dates right. Up until 1990, that was the only event that they had. They had the 7 miler, and they also did some East Coast Four Wheel Drive Association races, which was one of the reasons the club got started, because there was guys who heard about this East Coast Four Wheel Drive Association, and in order to race in those events, you could start a club. So you needed 10 guys to start the club. You had to have officers like president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, delegates, stuff like that. So they got that. They chartered the club and joined the East Coast Four Wheel Drive Association, and so that kind of got the ball rolling as far as having races. So the East Coast Four Wheel Drive, they do usually like most tracks they have 100-yard dirt drag strip, and they normally have either a small obstacle course where you race head to head. Some tracks have hill climbs, mud bogs. There's different events that you can hold within that sanctioning body within those rules and classes. So that kind of is one of the reasons also why the club was established, so that they could start a club, start gaining membership, and start going to these East Coast races. So yeah, this past weekend we had our 3.5 miler event, which started in 1990. We did that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's just a one-day event. We have the East Coast Four Wheel Drive Association guys come in. We run under their rule set for classes, and we do have a drag strip on our property, but it's not in the best shape for drag racing. It's a pretty short shutdown area. So the last few years we've decided just to focus on doing obstacle course races. So we set up a small figure eight on the drag strip, and then we do a little bit of a longer obstacle course race. And those two events we did on Sunday.
Those are definitely one of my favorite events, especially to watch, because those guys come out with some big horsepower in those little things and just start ripping around. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah, yep.
With your club, are these races open to the public, or do you have to be a part of the club?
So the races, to come, if you would want to be a spectator, you could come. It's open to the public to come and spectate. We have a campground area, and we have three areas around the campground that you can spectate from. Our drag strip, when we're doing the long course events, we use that as our start, finish line, and pit area. So you can sit there. In that area, you're close to the food stand. You get to watch everybody start the race. You get to see any action in the pits with guys coming in with flat tires or other broken parts and pieces. And the finish line is there with our scoring system. And we don't have actually like a live scoring like going out onto the internet or anything like that, but we do have a TV screen set up where people can go and actually look at the results live as they're happening, as they're coming in, to see lap times, your position in your class during the race, and stuff like that. And so basically the campground, the track makes almost a complete circle around the campground. So there's a lot of cool vantage points that you can see within our campground. We're not allowed to have any spectators out on the course or anything like that. So everything has to be confined to our campground area as far as spectating and stuff like that. And then as far as if you would want to race our event, that requires a club membership, which is $20 for the season. And then we have our entry fees, and which are $100 for race entry fee, and then you also have to buy a transponder, which is $100. So for about $250, you can get in our gate and come race.
That's not bad at all when you think about some of the races of what they cost.
Oh,
It's actually really reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the big reasons for that, I see what some of the entry fees are, and racing by no means is cheap. Putting on the event is a costly endeavor. Till you get insurance, till we're buying T-shirts and stuff like that. But one of the main reasons we're able to keep our entry fees so low is it's pretty much 100% volunteer effort. So basically, everybody who helps put on that race, from my mom and dad doing the scoring, our people who our cousins who do the T-shirts, like they're all doing it because their dads did it and their family done it for years. So that's one of the reasons we're able to do that. If it weren't like that, we wouldn't be able to charge $250 to come race with us.
Yeah. I've said it to many, many people. You guys have one of the coolest places to hang out with people, meet people, go race, have fun.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons why I keep absolutely coming back, because
Right.
you guys have the coolest people, the nicest. The food stands are always good, and
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about your guys' race series. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yep, appreciate it.
So, what all classes do you race, or is it just one class?
So on our Saturday event, on our long course events, we have 5 4-wheel drive classes that you can enter into and when I say 4-wheel drive, I mean like a 4x4 vehicle, Jeep, buggy, whatever you want to call it, car, truck. We have 5 classes of those, and then we have 2 buggy classes. And buggy to us is something with, say, like a Volkswagen based engine, rear engine. Then we have 2 classes of those, and those are just stock and modified. So the stock classes are limited to, like they can't have power steering. They can only have 2 shocks per corner or something like that. I can't quite remember, but they're limited on engine CCs, stuff like that. So the stock class is pretty limited on what they can run, and that's to make it like an entry point for people to get involved if they want to get started. The stock buggy class is a good place to do it. And then a modified buggy would be anything with a lot of guys are putting like Ecotechs in their buggies now. Anything that's water cooled, or anything that has I think it's over like a 1680 cc Volkswagen engine. And the bigger shocks, they can have power steering, stuff like that. And then our 4-wheel drive classes are broken up into 5. So it's just in letters A, B, C, D, and E. So basically, we have a sheet that you would fill out at registration, and it pretty much lists any modification that you could have done to that machine. What type of engine it has, whether it's a V8, a 6-cylinder, a 4-cylinder, is it turbocharged? Does it have a supercharger? And then it goes into the size of the tires, like a 37-inch tire or bigger. And basically what you're doing as you're filling out that sheet, you're tallying points up. So if you have bypass shocks on, for instance, that's like 5 points. If you have coilovers on, or sorry, an internal bypass shock is 5 points. Say you have a coil carrier, that's 3 points. If you have a bypass shock on, that's three. So you just start tallying points up as you filling out the sheet, and then each class is broken into uh, the points tally. So like an E-class machine, that's pretty stock. Like that's leaf sprung, no rebuildable shocks. That's pretty bare bones. It's a less than a 37-inch tire. Uh, and then as the classes progress up to the A class, a lot of the A class rigs are fully linked, full hydraulic steering, 40-inch tires, bead locks, you name it, they're a full blown race car at that point. So
4400 series. if
basically,
you're Ultra 4 life.
yeah. If you're going by Ultra 4 classes, it's basically a 4400 car, and a lot of the 4800 cars probably break into A class, especially if they have the internal bypass shock on it.
Now, this was like the first year, like you were saying about like the 44 and like going like switching over to like Ultra 4 in comparison. This year was the first ever like side by side in Ultra 4 to win King of the Hammers. Do you
Yeah.
have like side by sides and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yep. We do have a side by side event as well. It's separate from the 4-wheel drives. So yeah, a typical race day starts out at 8 a.m. with the UTV classes. We have two UTV classes to race. Uh, we just have a turbo and non-turbo class. We keep it pretty simple as far as breakdown on the classes of that. We generally have, about 20 in the class. Uh, if it would grow to be bigger, there's possibilities to break out different classes. But right now we just do turbo and non-turbo. And then generally we do about an hour. This race here was about an hour and a half race for those guys. And then we actually also race ATVs and motorcycles. So usually around 10 a.m., once the track's cleared with the side-by-sides, we start the ATV and motorcycle race. Their race is a 1 hour long race. And then usually around 12 o'clock is when we're starting off with our Jeeps and buggies and the primary event for the day.
Make sure everybody's awake for those events.
Oh yeah, that's one of my biggest.
I'm sure that like you guys have some fun times at night right before the race.
Yeah, there's been a few. But yeah, the day starts early, and there's only so much time in the day, and we try to pack it all in the one day, and that's one of my jobs is to make sure we're starting on time and to keep the ball rolling.
And then normally at 5 o'clock or right around 5 between 5 and 6, TJ goes, "All right, Cord, go round them up, have fun."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, usually about 5 o'clock. If everything started on time, usually our race is over by about 5 o'clock. And then it's Cord's turn to go have fun out on the course.
I'm surprised he's not like competing in it.
Right. I tell you what, the first
No.
well, he reached out to me before he came, but a lot of people when they saw him pulling that out, they're like, "Man, is he gonna race that thing or what?"
I
He's
don't
done
think
some
I would
gnarly
race.
stuff in that truck. I mean, hucking it off 10, 15-foot cliffs. I
Yes,
mean, that has been places it should not have been.
I've seen some videos of him doing some pretty good stuff with that.
The major problem with thinking about racing that truck is honestly the just abuse of that track. Like the track isn't necessarily huge and hard, but like there's some of those random boulder fields that like if you catch the tire in the wrong spot, it's not going to be good.
No.
And we need the truck to get the people back off the course and not not during the day.
Yeah.
Maybe when the new truck's done, we might think about going for a rip, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, our course isn't hard as far as like rock crawling or rock obstacles, stuff like that, but it's just relentless on the kidneys and your liver. Like it's just relentless. Yeah, especially in the lower class machines. Those guys are definitely taking a beating.
90% of the time going out there to like pick stuff up out of the race course, I'm in 2-wheel drive. Obviously, I have to be in 4-wheel drive to like pull stuff out most of the time because I'm pulling my truck and somebody else's weight. But for the most part, it's a good blue trail is what I would call it.
Right.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of parts of it that are good blue. There might be a couple black spots just for the off camberness around some of the hard turns in the backwoods, but
Right. Yeah.
most of it's a good solid blue.
Yeah.
Han says you'll beat yourself up for sure. Yeah.
Did Mr. Hans ride shotgun this weekend?
No, I was by myself this weekend.
I know the one time we were out, and he just needed a ride to get to the person he was with after like guiding people. And he's on the back of a Jeep. I have a picture somewhere, hair blown in the wind, going down gnarly trails, just holding on.
Nice. But so, what is there anything you're going to change coming up in the next season or two to your racing that you want to implement in your next season or two?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now. Uh, just continue to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we've done it for our 55 years now, so I mean, we're doing okay.
Absolutely.
We're doing good. We must be doing something right. People keep coming back to race, so
Yep.
uh,
If
so
it's
no,
not
nothing
broke, don't
major.
fix it.
Right? Yeah, yeah, nothing major. I mean, the guys know what to expect when they come to our race. Now, the people who have raced it for years. I mean, there's families that have been racing it, for 30 and some of them even 40 years, have been coming up there. So they know what to expect, and we kind of keep the same routine going.
Nice. That's to bring up somebody that's been coming for years. Poor Jim. He was rocking and rolling this past weekend. Jim
Yes, he
Ditzler,
was.
but he just couldn't quite pull it through. I was so upset that he didn't get back to the finish line.
Yeah, he was actually, that was one of the best races I've seen out of Jim in a long time. He was having a great run. I actually looked when he started out. I think it was on lap 3. I went into the trailer to check the results because I knew he had a good pace going, and he was in the top 5 in E class, which, E class, is our lowest class as far as like modifications, but it's one of the toughest classes to win. Generally that class has 20 to 24 guys in it, and 10 or 12 of them can win at any time. It's always
Yep.
a close race. There's always different winners, which I love to see. I love to see new people win. That Mike Yauver just commenting here. He raced up there for 17 years until he finally got a win. So
10
that
years
was
till he
awesome. I was happy
finished.
for Mike when he did that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's why I like it's just the attitude of everybody and everybody that's there. And the other thing I think you guys do that's really cool is every shirt you guys make has the winners from the race before
Right.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
something that a lot of guys like. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool that you get every class on that shirt.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. The guys like it. There, like you said, there's not too many places where you get to be on the event T-shirt. So yeah, the guys who won our races in the past, the next year when that race comes up, they're the guys who are on the T-shirt. So yeah, it's a pretty cool feature. A lot of guys like it. Uh, it's something that was started pretty long ago already. I mean, I can remember back in the late '90s, even all the winners being on the shirts. So it's pretty cool to keep that going along.
It's an awesome tradition.
Yep.
And a big shout out. Hans is in the comments. He said about a bunch of our New England fellas, especially one of our sponsors, Mark St. Germain of Wheeling for Warriors. They were all out there and
Yep.
competing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a big contingent coming down right now from the Northeast coming down to race with us, which I'm happy to see. And I know Zach had a great run, finishing third overall, I believe. which is no tough slouch. The new guy who just showed up, it was his first race ever. I think Shane Dolman, I think his
Yep.
name was.
Yep.
I talked to him before the race. A little anxious, a little nervous, as any first time racer should be or would be. And I just told him, listen, you got a plenty capable machine. Your main objective is just to keep it off the trees and keep it on the track, and you're gonna do just fine. And A class is tough. He finished top 20 overall, which is nothing to hang your head about. He had a great race. Finished. All the tires are on it yet, so
Yep. He
I think he'll be back.
he blew one sidewall out of one of the old Coopers,
Okay.
but overall he kept that thing together. And I told him at
Right.
the beginning of the race, he said he was nervous. And I was like, dude, take your first lap slow.
Yep.
Get the idea of what the car is going to do in certain spots, whatever, and slowly build your momentum up. It's your
Right.
first
Yep.
time racing. Go enjoy yourself. Don't think you have to win and push the car to its limit.
Yeah. Yep.
Go race your race.
Well,
Yeah.
we got
Right.
a little battle in the comments here. Mike and Matt. Mike's bragging that he, finished the last two races ahead of Matt, but Matt's on 6 t-shirts.
He's on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's a tough one. I mean, the shirts. Yeah. I don't know who to give that one to. 6 wins is pretty good. That's impressive.
and they're
In any class.
Top vehicles in E class, V8 Blazer 7.6.
And that's a E class is pretty diverse.
Yeah.
And anybody can win it. That's one of my favorite classes to keep an eye on throughout the day.
I love all this little back and forth in the comments.
Oh yeah, yep. Those two
I'm
can't with one
actually
another, so I'm sure
trying
it
to
goes on all
pre-read
weekend.
them. I've been trying to pre-read them before I put them up onto the screen.
Right. Yep.
That's the one thing. That's again talking about the people that are there. There might be a few feuds up in there, but you never really hear about them much.
Right.
It's
But
like a friendly feud.
they have little battles, and it's all about the race. It's not with each other after the
Right.
race, fist fights and stuff like that.
Yeah. No.
At the end, they're cheers and drinking beers together and having a good night.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No matter what type of racing you do, there's always a little drama here and there, but for the most part, it's all good. At the end of the day, everybody shakes hands and, like you said, has a few beverages, and they're ready for the next race.
The next
Right on.
day.
Yeah.
So how long at what age because this is the family club that your family created. How long have you been doing this? Or you don't have to say that and just say what age you started, I should say.
Okay. So as far as club president goes, this is actually my 15th year doing club president roles. As far as racing, you have to be 16 to race, our big events. We do have some youth races and kid races. We put those on in the evening. So our race normally ends around 5 o'clock. So we have about an hour to get our kids track set up. So that usually starts around 6 o'clock. So anybody under 16 can race in that youth event. And we do everything from power wheels up to, a little bit bigger ATV and motorcycles. And one of the cool things we did at this race, which was the first time doing it, we called it the mini miler, because a lot of times we just set up a little figure eight track on the drag strip for the kids. And, after doing that for so many years, the kids, especially the older ones, it probably got a little boring. So we cleared out some of the wooded area next to the food stand, and we set up actually a little short woods course for them. And the kids loved it. It was great. It was a big hit. So it's definitely something we'll be continuing to do for the kids race.
I was wondering what was going on when I was towing that one thing past, and all the kids were down the corner.
Yeah. That was the start. start of the kids race there through the woods. So just a short little track. If we just kept some times on their phones and scored them as they came in and wrote their time down and just let them do one lap. So just it was kind of like a feeler, a test run to see how that went, but. We think the kids enjoyed it, so we'll be able to expand on that maybe as we get better at it. And again, that was, that's the parents doing it. That's all again volunteers setting up the track, taking the times, announcing the kids' names. It's not hired staff. It's just parents who are willing to give up some of their time for their kids and put on a cool race. So I appreciate that.
Got to keep it going for the next generation.
Yeah.
You got to get the kids started early to get them interested and keep them in it.
Yep.
Otherwise, it'll all die.
Right.
So
right.
that's obviously a pretty important thing in your guys' area to keep it going.
Oh yeah. Yep. It is. Yep. And as far as you said, like with my family, there's a lot of families involved that keep this thing going. My family plays a small role in it. Like I said, my mom and dad take care of timing and scoring. My immediate family, my wife and daughter and her boyfriend and my son, we, my mom and my aunt run the computers and the computer scoring. And my family, this last event here, we always do a manual backup as well. So every time a racer comes in, it's scored into our computers, but it's also written down manually on a tally sheet, the time they came in, what lap they're on, and that's if knock on wood, God forbid, we would lose a computer or something would go down in the middle of the race. We still want to be able to score the race appropriately. So we always do a hand backup for all of our races, and then like I said, our T-shirts. The Erdman family does that. They order all the shirts, they organize all the shirts, and they sit in the T-shirt shack and sell them all day. And then we have the Wilkinson family. Chris is a big part of the team. He takes care of, Cord knows Chris well. He does our announcing. He takes care of the PA system. He does a lot of the mowing of the grass up there at the campground and making sure everybody's grass is nice when they get there. So it's not just my family. There's a lot of families who are involved from the get-go, and all those families I mentioned in the past, their dads and husbands, were the ones that started the club. So it's good that we're still getting to do it.
Right on. So Matt is asking also about, is there going to be any special events on the agenda for the 55th 7-miler?
Oh, there's I don't know if you want to call it special events, but we haven't decided 100% on everything what we're doing. But what I will tell you is that the track will be different from what they're normally used to seeing at the 7-miler. There's going to be a few track changes involved. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. But they may like it, they may hate it. I don't know, but they'll find out one way or another when they get there.
I'm excited to go back around and do the Onyx thing again. That was fun to go take the full lap of the course on the bike and actually map it. So it was cool.
Yep. And one other thing I'll say, they can expect a little bit longer race too. The last few years on our anniversary races, we've just kind of run our normal race, but they can expect an extra lap or two of some racing action. Yeah. My mom may not. My mom probably won't like to hear that if she's watching right now, but that's kind of what we're leaning towards.
I'll tell you what, 5.25 miles on a bike on that course, I whoop my ass. At the end of the day, I can only imagine what a longer course is going to do. I'm going to need some extra time.
Right. Yeah. And then naturally it rained up here again today, so the mud isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yikes. Definitely sloppy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That logging road got rough. Did you go out there and look at the logging road?
I haven't been out to it yet. No, I haven't been out to it yet.
You should go take a spin out there and go look out back.
Right.
It was peanut butter mud.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some pictures, I saw some videos. It didn't look fun. We knew it was going to be a mess when we set up the course on Sunday. We're like, man, this is if we continue to get any more rain this week, it's going to be pretty sloppy.
Yeah, it was definitely sloppy.
Oh yeah.
You guys run the show. You're replaceable from the camp to many other. We appreciate the hell out of y'all.
You're welcome, Mikey.
So the you guys got a couple viewing areas. There's a hill climb viewing area. There's the drag strip viewing area. There's the backside by your check-in that people can watch from.
Yep. There's some good spectating areas around. Just just the campground, like I said, the pits, start finish line. Then we have last year we took the dozer out to what we call our short obstacle course, and we put in that big bank corner that we've been calling the Daytona turn, and that goes up to a jump and stuff. So there's good spectating there. And then at the top left corner of our campground is the hill climb, and there's a mud hole at the bottom of that. So there's good spectating areas close by.
Yeah, the hill climb area gets very interesting because they have to. Well, for the bigger cars, they have to try the hill climb. If they don't make it, they can go around the Joker end of it. But
right, yep. Yeah, we do have a bypass set up there because you're in a deep hollow. There's really only, the only way out is on our course. So we don't want to, we don't want to create bottlenecks. It's a fine line of having a course tough enough for the drivers and something for the spectators to see, but we also don't want to create bottlenecks where there's 20 30 cars piled up and waiting to go or creating new lines. So it's a fine line that we got to try to balance. The hill's definitely deteriorating. We're starting to get down to some really hard shale at the top and at the bottom. So but it makes it fun. It's a challenge for the drivers, and something for the spectators to watch.
absolutely.
I love watching Cord find this light right now, which is perfect. But if you couldn't figure out this position, I was gonna say put it under like your chin and like you want to hear a scary story.
You want to hear a ghost story? Ooh. I was really bright.
You're so
It's
bright
always
by yourself, Cord. You don't need any light.
all right. That's a lie.
No.
Trying to get it so it's works and doesn't blind the crap out of me.
So what is the date for the 55th?
So that will be September 19th, 20th, and 21st. Yep. So Friday event's usually just or the Friday is just normally setup day. A lot of people start coming in and set up their camps, and Friday night we do our registration and inspection, stuff like that. And then Saturday, we'll do our 7-miler. And then on Sunday, for what we did for the 50th, we called it the old timers race. So there's a lot of old machines and older drivers who don't partake anymore. So it was brought up to us, that maybe we should have something. We could set up a smaller track, a shorter track on some of our easier, try to cut out some of the rougher sections. And so on the 50th, we had an old timers race. So it had to be a vehicle that was four-wheel drive, pre like 1985, 86 was like the cutoff. So a lot of old Broncos, old Jeeps showed up, and old Scouts. And I think we might have had maybe 15 or 20 that showed up for that event. We did a little parade down the drag strip and stuff like that. Showed everybody off, announced their names, and then we set them out onto. I think we had maybe like a 2-mile track set up, and let them do a couple laps around that and see who the winner was. So it was a lot of fun. That was a cool event, and I think that's something we're gonna do again for the 55th on Sunday.
That's cool.
Yep.
It's already marked out on the calendar. I'll be there.
All right.
See Hans in the comments here. Hans is already
There's
saying
also
put it on your calendar, and Court already said it's already there.
there's also some big names that come to your track that a lot of people would know, like the Blylers
Oh yeah.
and Miller.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
they were all at the 7 miler last year. I think Lucas Murphy.
Lucas Murphy. Yep, I
Yep.
was just trying to think of his name.
Yep.
I think there was one other one last year, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I know at least those three are. Well, Blylers are always there. Lily's been running, I think, for since I've been there.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think the
Um,
past 2 years. Yeah.
yep. So that's where she got her head start in her car. Well, I
Yep.
guess she was running Rusty's car for a while. Now they finally got her own car.
Right. Yep. Yep. They did. Yep. Yeah.
Liam
Actually.
O'Donnell. Yep. Leo O'Donnell comes out.
Yep.
Liam.
Yeah. He had a. He was at this event, but unfortunately, never left the starting line.
Nope. Had to winch his thing back right onto his trailer.
Yeah. Which it sucks, but it happens from time to time.
And you
One
know
of
what? At
those
the end of the day,
gremlins.
at the end of the day, I'd much rather happen there than 2 miles into the course.
Oh yeah. Yep.
At least you didn't have to get muddy.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to. You didn't have to wash anything. You probably saved 6 hours of washing for an hour and a half race.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's also cool to come see the big wigs come and hit the track and tear it up.
Yep. Yeah, actually, so last year, Jared Erdman won the overall at the 7 miler, which is Josh's co-pilot at the Hammers, and he's actually the club vice president. Because right now, there's a tie for most wins at the 7 miler right now between Josh Blyler and a longtime member, longtime friend, Bobby Hughes, who we lost last year. So they're both tied with 8 wins. Bob Hughes in a buggy, pretty much dominated the whole 1980s. I think he won 4 races in a row. And then there was a year his brother actually beat him in his own buggy. Because at that time, in the early 70s and 80s, a lot of times the races were only a lap or two long.
Yeah.
The first 7 miler was only 1 lap, and then, after a few years, they started doing 2. So, a lot of times, they got done, and they would let other people race their machines. So, I think he finished, and his brother was there, talking some crap, I guess, and said, I could beat that time. So Bob told him, well, there's my buggy, go do it. And he did. Or he'd have 9 wins. Yeah, then after that one loss, I think he won 3 or 4 more in a row. So right now, him and Josh are actually tied with 8 wins apiece at the 7 miler. So yeah, I'm positive Josh is going to be at this one, and I think he's going to be looking for number 9. But I know I'm sure Jared wants to keep him from doing that, because I'm sure they're going to start talking some smack here before the race over at the shop. And it's bragging rights for the rest of the year.
Yep.
But Rusty's going to be there as well, so he's going to throw his hat into the ring and come out and play. And yeah, there's a lot of tough guys there. Chad Owens, he's a top guy there. Has been racing with us for years, and the A class is tough.
That's cool. That's a cool note.
Yeah.
Just the bottom there, two-time KOH winners, finishers, several Baja 1000 finishers, Mint 400 class winners.
Yep.
Started racing in Line Mountain. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, so the King of the Hammer winners would obviously be Eric Miller and Josh Blyler. Yep. And then the Mint 400, we've had a couple people go out and race that. One of the, Dale Lenig, my grandfather Ivan Lenig, they did it, in the late 70s. Drove out there and competed in the Mint 400. They didn't finish the year. I think Dale went out 3 times, and the first 2 times he didn't finish. The third time he finished, which I think was in the mid 80s. I think 1986 he finished. But the year Him and my grandfather went out. They split driving duties up, and I think the frame or something broke that year. And but yeah, he went out a year or two later and tried it again. Had some other issues, and then the third time he went out a couple years later, he finally finished it. So it was a big accomplishment for Dale, and it's coming from our area to go do that was pretty cool. Another one was the Baja finisher he's talking about. I believe was Eric Stallnecht, who's been a long time racer with the club. He's from Maryland. He raced up here for many years in a Jeep, and he's partnered up and teamed up with some guys that go out and race the Mint and do some desert racing, which is pretty cool. So whenever I hear they're going out, I always follow along and see how they're doing out there.
Years and years of history. Love it.
Yeah. A lot of people say, oh, you could have wrote a book. You probably could have wrote 10 books with all the stories and stuff we'd heard throughout the years. It's really cool. It's really cool. Just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, so am I. I'm glad you guys didn't turn me away the day I showed up that first time.
No. No, we're always looking for good help.
Who's this guy in his stupid F-150? What is this guy doing? So
55 years of stories.
Yeah.
55 years of stories.
Yep. Yeah, it's been quite a. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, I guess we're gonna have to sit down at the bonfire and just, I'll pass the camera around and everyone can tell a story and we'll put it up on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's, everybody has a unique story to tell somewhere along the lines.
We'll have to find a space to put a big bonfire and tell all the racers to come by 55 years, and we'll make a video of it.
Just leave the PA open and let them talk. I was knowing we were going to be doing this tonight, I was thinking about a lot of them, and there's one in particular. He's a cousin of ours. His name was Marty. He was an elementary school teacher for many, many years. And, if you'd look at him, you'd think, he would never race. But he did, and did it for quite a few years in a Jeep. And one 7-miler, he rolled over, clipped the tree, rolled over, and, they landed on top of a bee's nest. And it pissed them bees off like something you couldn't believe. And they were getting stung as they were trying to get out of the Jeep. And he told the story later, they started biting him and stinging him, and he ran behind a tree, but they still came to sting him. He didn't run far enough. So there's lots of good stories to tell.
We've actually run into some bee stories at our competitions, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We've had to stop competitions for an hour or so just to get rid of bees.
Right.
So
yeah.
We completely understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Hans and I were setting up at New England, and Hans sat down to take a break, put his leg right over the hole of the bee's nest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen that man move so fast in my life.
We actually had it's going back. It's probably close to 20 years ago now. We had one of our ATV riders get hit by a deer. So he didn't hit the deer. The deer hit him, took him right off the 4-wheeler. And it's one of those things. He probably thought, man, no one's gonna believe me. But when he came back, there was deer hair in his chest protector. Like it was legit. Like the deer hit him and took him right off the 4-wheeler. And he didn't know what happened because it's just something you're not expecting, I guess. But yeah, there's good stories, it's what makes it great.
Most definitely. And we'll have to have you on again, or you have anybody that you think that would love to come on, and that's what we do with this podcast is we love to hear everybody's story and their backgrounds and everything like that.
Right. Yep. Want to see that?
So don't be...
Oh yeah.
Well, we want to start wrapping it up, or we got everything covered?
Does anybody else have any more questions? I don't want to cut. I know there's like all these people. The bickering stopped inside of the chat as much. I've been trying to watch up on that. No, but I really do like that and appreciate that you came on. It's pretty awesome. Cord is an amazing person. He works
yeah.
with so many different people and series in the off-road industry. I know from the years of working with Cord and everything, this is always, one that he talks about very highly of, and always blocks out his schedule.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to seeing what comes about it's the second weekend, I believe, in September.
I think it's the third weekend, actually.
Third
weekend?
Third weekend, yep.
19,
Yep.
20, 21st.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't even know what day it is.
That's generally when we have it. The third weekend in September. That's generally when we do it. Yep.
All right. Well, again, thank you for coming on, Cord. It's always a pleasure with you.
Thank you.
I do also want to thank our 2025 sponsors of JM Rigging Supply, Mother's Off-Road Recovery Motorsports, Radial Dynamics, 386 Fab, Wheeling for Warriors, and Kincaid Fabrication. I'm reading these off, and I bet at every single one of them, I know at least 3 were loud and proud out at Line Mountain this past weekend because Cord and Jim Markham of JM Rigging, they're partnered up. And then we had Mark St. Germain out there racing. And I am sure there is something from, Chris's work. I know he works with a lot of different people like around this area. And I mean, Radial Dynamics is kind of, taking over all of the off-road. Doesn't matter what you're running off-road, other than what motorcycles. I don't think he's into yet.
Yeah, probably
Everything
not.
else. Eric Amato, he's an amazing person, and he's like getting involved with monster trucks, mega trucks, for everything.
Right.
So it's pretty cool to know that even though we're 2 different series, a lot of the different things intertwine.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
But thank you guys for joining us tonight. And I believe, are going to be back next week, Cord. What do you think?
I believe so. I think we have a very high ranking Ultra 4 guy coming on. I got to reach out to him one more time. He's supposed to said reach out to him tomorrow. So I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow, and hopefully everything's good for next week.
Nice. Yep. Nice. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. If you want to check this out, make sure you're going 19th, 20th, and 21st to Line Mountain. Make sure you're following their social media as well. Otherwise, hope you guys all have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, TJ.
All righty.